Welcome to Principling in Place, an evening to connect, learn, and laugh. Our topic tonight is parenting through a pandemic. Joining us is Dr. Gracie Branch, NAESP's Associate Executive Director of Professional Learning.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. As always, one of my favorite parts of the week being here at Principling in Place. We've got a great session planned for you tonight with our most awesome host. We have Jessica Cabine, the principal at Ellis Middle School in Austin, Minnesota. Dr. Rachel George, the principal at Sandy Grade School in Sandy, Oregon, and Dr. Andy Jacks, the principal at Ashland Elementary School in Manassas, Virginia. So take it away, Dr. Jacks.
Oh, fatal flaw. I started off with a fatal flaw. Does anyone else feel like no matter what they do, they can set the stage perfectly for everything? They forget to unmute their own mic. Woo! All right, well, I'm glad to be here, everybody. We're going to cover a couple of things that NAESP is also doing right now. NAESP is just a leader of sharing and connecting leaders all over the country. And this is one example with the Center for Innovative Leadership, where Hamish and I are interviewing, and we have been interviewing school leaders across the country and giving insights about programs they're putting in place or changes they've made in a school. So check it out. We have another one coming out really soon, and I think you'll enjoy them.
Awesome. We also have a lot of other NAESP COVID-19 resources that you want to definitely check out. We have an upcoming one on special education. You can register now, along with a Live at 5 topic. You ask, we answer. Definitely a great event for you guys to look into and to register. So check it out.
All right, and just as a reminder for some of you who are jumping in for the first time, we want to let you know that the purpose of this series is really NAESP's real-time response to meet members' needs. So the topics driven every week are really driven from feedback that we've received from members, from people in the chats, and just from our interactions with other leaders that are trying to learn along this season of distance learning, sheltering in place, and tonight, parenting and principling and everything else. So afterwards, we'll make sure that you get to receive a roster of attendees and related links and resources. So throughout the night, if there's things that you're adding into the chat, we'll make sure those get into that document for everybody to use later.
All right, so we have, like every week, our challenge winners. So here we go. Melissa, big shout out because she posted about like 100 posts with ideas and motivation. I think she was posting during the actual chat as well. So great job, Melissa. You shared a great idea here about sending some notes and postcards, and you do those, what are they called? Those little, where you make yourself, what are those called? Where you make yourself a cartoon?
Emojis.
Bitmoji.
Well, emojis.
Yeah,
a Bitmoji. So she has those everywhere. She probably has. Melissa, are you here? Are you here, Melissa? How many of those do you have? Do you have Bitmojis? That's what they are. Bitmojis. How many of you out there have a Bitmoji? Respond right now in the chat. How many of you have your own Bitmoji? Do you all have your own Bitmoji? Jessica, all you guys, do you have your own?
Uh-huh. You need to get on it, Andy. Come on. I'm sure you'd have a great one, like a Top Gun theme.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So that's homework. See, I guess a lot of people do. Yep, a lot of people do. All right, so I guess I got to catch up to all you guys. And then Principal Langston, I really appreciate where she was making a simple, just sometimes simple effort is really good, where she was putting a fun hat on, trying just to smile for her staff, and we were talking about that. And I think that goes into this week's too, but her point was relax, relate, and release. And I thought that was kind of cool. Sometimes, and I found this to be true in my meetings too sometimes, where it's not really about everything else. Sometimes you just got to go in there, connect with people, make them smile a little bit. That's what we're here for. So congratulations, you two. Thanks for being the Principal in Place Challenge winners. Way to go.
Awesome. Congratulations. I can't wait to see tonight's challenge. But first, here she is. I'm super honored and excited to be the person to introduce our facilitator tonight, V. Cass Nelson. And I'm pretty sure everybody in the chat already knows Cass, but I am really excited not only to have her here, but to speak on this topic. Cass is just an incredible leader and cheerleader and advocate for kids, advocate for principals, and just has a wealth of knowledge. And I love her humor and her vulnerability and just being such an authentic leader. So take it away, Cass.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's so good to see you. If we could, well, I'll let you work on your quarantine nickname while I talk about myself just a little bit. So, what's your quarantine nickname? Use the chat box, and it is how you're feeling right now combined with what you last ate. So, you can see a couple of examples: angry chili mango, fat chopped salad. So how are you feeling, and what did you last eat? I'm excited to see some of the things everyone comes up with. Tired tater tot. That's a good one.
Tired tater, cool tacos.
So while you're doing that, I just want to talk a little bit about myself and why I feel like we're going to have a great night tonight. I just want you to know, first of all, I am a parent of 3 great kiddos, but that by no means makes me an expert on parenting. So I am hoping that tonight I learn just as much from you all, and that we are able to share and have some great conversation about all the struggles of parenting, because as we know, it is hard. This pandemic has been hard. Parenting and balancing the principalship and parenting has been hard. So that's the first thing I want to say, is we're going to learn a lot from each other. And I think it's really important, before we move on, that we think about every household is different. And you may be saying, well, hey, I don't have any children at home, but I bet you have a significant other. You might even have a pet, right, Jess? You might even have a pet that is vying for your attention. So I think this will be relevant for all of us, regardless of if we have kids still at home or not. And then, you know what? We've just never been in this situation before. We've never been quarantined. We've never been in a pandemic. And we need to know our best is good enough. Our best is good enough right now. And so we're going to share a lot of great ideas, but doing your best is just enough for your kids and your household. So we've got to remember that. And lastly, we've got to remember that we need to give ourselves grace. We need to give our children grace, our spouses and significant others grace, because like I said, we've not ever lived through something like this. So I think if we keep those things in mind as we move on, we're going to have a great night. So did you all come up with some great names for your
So, Cass, if you see us laugh at all, it's not. Sometimes the chat.
That's not you.
Right. Sometimes the chat, is just. So this one caught my attention. Lee, relaxed honey bun from Memphis, Tennessee.
So if I'm being honest, I am nervous burger right now.
Oh, where's some good ones in here? Here we go. Hopeful brownie, anxiety sushi, relaxed granola bar, sleepy bread.
Awesome.
Exhausted sloppy Joe.
Nobody said spam though. I'm actually embarrassed myself. I didn't say I had spam for dinner.
No one did. No one did.
No one said spam. Bacon.
I would have expected spam, Jess.
I know. I'm disappointed in myself too. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's move on, Katie. Okay, PSA. I thought there's no better time than now, since we're talking about parenting, to give just a little bit of a PSA for all of you dads out there, that you have 10 days to make sure that mom is recognized at home. So I saw this meme come through social media a few days ago, and I just changed the 15 to 10 and thought, you know what? That's a pretty important parenting thing we need to make sure everybody knows about, because we usually do rely on school, don't we? So there is your heads up for Mother's Day. All right, Katie. Okay, let's take a poll. Poll number 1, what has been your biggest struggle as you try to lead school from home? And as you're thinking about that, you may be looking at this list thinking, wow, I could choose a couple of these. Is it taking care of yourself, setting some boundaries, or setting boundaries for work and home, supporting your children? That's been a challenge. That's been a challenge for me, definitely. Making time for your spouse or significant other. figuring out where all the food I bought yesterday has gone. Can I get an amen or what? And then, of course, the laundry. If your laundry is like mine, we sometimes have the great mountain of laundry at our house with 3 kids. But go ahead and vote. And what do you guys think? I'm interested to hear. Andy, what do you think your biggest struggle is?
Oh, boundaries. Oh, boundaries. I feel like, this idea that we were supposed to have all this extra time, and people are talking about binge watching shows and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't have that time. I feel like it's hard because, the nights turn the days, turn the nights, and all of a sudden you feel like you're always on call, which I always feel like that anyways, but now more than ever, trying to really structure that day is tough.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. It looks like we've got the results in.
Yeah, it looks like setting boundaries was the high winner, 51%, followed by supporting my children, self-care, making time for my spouse, and figuring out where all the food I bought yesterday has gone. So,
and apparently laundry's not an issue. It's probably because we're reusing all of our running tights every single day. So maybe our laundry basket isn't full, or maybe that's just a personal issue.
No, it could be.
Nope, I'm right there with you, Rachel. And I'm not sure the last time my youngest kid actually changed his clothes. So we're just being real here.
Yeah, I see a lot of people too, Cass, in the comments talking about long day. Dave was talking about long day for principals for sure. We were talking about not having extra time. Mina was talking about all the district meetings and stuff. That's one thing that comes up a lot is all the different meetings about trying to figure out what we're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's move forward, Katie. Let's talk about those setting boundary struggles that surround that. And are we the principal and the parent? Sometimes we are trying to be the principal and the parent. And the little meme I found here, I changed it to principal, but it says, is it possible to principal remotely and homeschool my own kids? No, and then no, but in yellow, because it is a challenge. And so looking at these 3, I felt like kind of fit together, and we could have some great conversation about setting boundaries, how we go about doing that, scheduling, which is like we've talked about, all those district meetings, and then your actual physical space. So Katie, if you want to move forward, some setting boundaries. What the big question that I would ask is, how are you setting boundaries for principling and parenting? So think about that as we're kind of talking about some of these ideas, but setting office hours is a good idea. And then I know Jessica's talked a lot in past webinars about turning off your phone and turning off your email on your phone. Those are again part of those boundaries of when you're at work and when you're at home. And then discussing school with fellow educators during your work hours. So I pretty much fail at all 3 of these examples on a daily basis. Of course, there's an ideal that we all have, but we know that things come up. And the one thing I think about, my youngest kiddo is 7, but how are those moms and dads doing it who have little ones, like 1-year-olds and babies? And, when we're trying to Zoom and we're Zooming with our staff, my heart goes out to those that have those kiddos that are just not able to take care of some of their needs yet. So, these are all ideal, but I would ask you, sorry, Rachel.
Yeah, no, and I want to answer your question. So what are people doing? And I have to tell you, it's been very, very heartwarming, and I've absolutely loved it. I was on a Zoom call this morning, and there were 2 mamas on there, and they had their babies with them, and they're here live with us right now. And I got to tell you, I was like, rock on, because I think that that's important to know and understand that it's okay that they're with you. It's okay that they're coming in and out. It's okay that they're falling asleep on you and having those moments. And it really fills my bucket. I love seeing that. And I love seeing the merge of that personal and professional happening. And I think that that's something to really embrace and think about and also honor. And I think sometimes we need to name it, because I think people feel a little self-conscious probably initially, or they might feel bad, like they need to separate it, and they really don't. at times. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our lovely ladies out there that did that this morning, because I loved it.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Well, and I think about some of my scheduling things. We've talked a little bit about, Katie, I think we can go to the next slide, about scheduling. Man, this is a tough one. This is a really tough one for me as well. I tend to operate under a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, and then a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. That is completely different, because I'm going to school Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and helping serve lunches at our school. So I know in that time when I'm gone, my older two are able to work independently. They have their own schedule at home and they're pretty responsible. But my 7-year-old is more at my liberty. He has to operate more on my schedule. And so I know that's really hard too when we're talking about being a principal, but when we want to have that structure for our kiddos, but he's more, he has to operate on my schedule. So when we think about schedules, I know, Jess, you've talked a lot about scheduling, and in fact, your webinar for Principling in Place was about scheduling. So I know you got some great things to share.
Well, and I think too, and coming back to just even before, with you guys have done a great job of that, grace. And I think we say to teachers, it's okay for your kids to be in Zoom calls and to have your kids present, but we don't extend that grace to ourselves. So I think you're giving explicit permission when you're modeling with your child being right there with you, or, this is a time of the day where I just need to be, story time with my own child or help my own child Zoom in. You putting your family first just automatically does a ripple effect for the staff you serve. So I think that's such an important modeling factor. With scheduling too, I've noticed, because now we're like 4-5 weeks into distance learning, just for my olders, giving them the empowerment to do their schedule. So saying, okay, like 7 a.m. for a 15-year-old, I don't know what unicorn I thought I was going to be meeting, because that didn't happen. But I know his learning sweet spot is 9 to 11 in the morning. So if I can wake him up in between meetings at 8:30, he eats breakfast and then he gets learning. But giving them some ability to build their own schedule, and then also giving yourself, you really do have to set office hours. You could work even harder than when you were in the office with kids present if you don't put those boundaries on. I found just even silencing email, a lot of times I'll miss an email and in an hour, they've already solved the whole problem and I didn't have to get involved at all. It's like this huge boomerang. And by the time I get to the last email, they're like, oh, we already figured it out. So knowing that it is okay, you don't have to be tethered to your email or your phone, and to take those times away will also kind of help you stay regulated and kind of get through this marathon.
And I've noticed on that point that if I will take my phone and plug it in another room, then it's not handy right there. It's not readily where I can just pick it up and, oh, I wonder what's going on, or I wonder what emails I've got. So if I take it to another room and plug it in, then I remove myself. And same thing, I feel like things happen, things get solved, and I come in on the end. So yeah, thanks, Jess, so much. I know you have so much wisdom there to share, and so I appreciate you sharing in. Anybody else?
Trial and error.
Trial and error, absolutely.
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's hard for families. I think you said the ages matter, and the spread of your ages of kids matter. I have a 6-year-old, 9-year-old, a 12-year-old. So they have all different levels of, one likes to sleep in, one gets up super early, right? Like you can't win as a parent sometimes. So, then all these like sort of best laid plans, right? You get up like, this is going to be the day where we conquer our schedule. We're going to lay it all out there. Then it takes like one meltdown. It's like, oh, what was I thinking, And the meltdown is usually me. It's like, but to your point, I think a lot of our kids really need that schedule, and especially if you look at kids with disabilities, kids like with autism or something like that, where they really need that structure and routine and schedule. Right now, this period is all out of whack for families. So I do worry about those families and those kind of kids that really need that kind of help, I don't know if there's a way that parents can think more about that. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that. Like if there's suggestions we can give families or something like that along those lines.
Sure. I like what Jess said about choice. And we do that with our own kiddos, and it just seems that like they have some ownership in it.
And I think too, the piece that I've had to let go of is like sometimes my kid's gaming. That's it. Like if I have to maybe be a part of a webinar from 7 to 8 every Thursday night Central Standard Time, and I don't want to hear the floor above me collapse on me because there's World War III, they might be gaming. And that's okay. And I think we have to understand too that there is time where we can give them some flexibility, some free time, some play time outside if it's okay. But it's been hard on our kids. I know mine is kind of a social butterfly, so he likes to play basketball with his friends. Playing basketball by yourself for 3 hours a day is not fun. So, being creative with some of that and allowing yourself those opportunities to just say, they're going to have more time that maybe isn't school time. You can still provide structure around it, but it doesn't always have to be academic learning either.
Liz hits on that in the chat box where she does kind of take that veil off of what it looks like at home, because I'm sure that they think that as principals that we have it all together and it's really kind of just a hot mess at sometimes. And I think that they appreciate it. I mean, that's the self-talk I tell myself. And I think it's just really, really valuable. It shows your authentic side. It's transparent. And I think it also makes you really relatable to them and that you're struggling through it as well. Lindsay mentioned that she has 2 set times for when her kids are doing work. And I think that that's a fantastic time chunk, especially in the morning and in the afternoon. And there's some middle time for her to interact with them. Love that idea.
Well, and Sarah, I just noticed too, she just commented about her 12-year-old setting schedules with alarms going off throughout the day. And then each alarm has a picture of an image that shows what's next. And so that's a really great way to not only provide structure, but those visual supports as well. So that's a great one as well.
That is great.
I saw a comment before we move on too, that even though, we talk about the younger ones a lot, but if college kids are home or older kids, that creates a different challenge for families too. The need for the social gatherings is really high for that age level. Like I was walking around, we're doing something around nearby playground or something, and everyone's social distancing, and then all of a sudden you saw all these older kids. It's like they told their parent they're going out for a walk or something, and then all of a sudden they congregate together. That need to be with their friends at that age level is so high. So I'm sure that's a challenge as well.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the next topic, physical space. So what does your workspace or physical workspace look like at home? Is it away from where you spend most of your time? I had a picture in here, and I just want to thank Lindsay for letting me use this because she shared this on social media. And she had such a great space that she had created in a little nook in her house with a table, beautiful view outside. And so just in thinking about that, what does your space look like? And I'm going to be real and vulnerable. And my space is at the kitchen table. So I'm right there alongside my youngest a lot of times. We share the same computer, so that's another challenge for us. He can't do his online learning until mom is done with the computer. Or mom will take a break and he will work a little bit and then I get right back on. And so we tend to share that space at our kitchen table. But what does your space look like? And is it helping you be able to kind of separate and create that boundary? I know me at the kitchen table, it doesn't help me that much because when someone needs something, when he needs something, I'm right there, I'm accessible. And so I know that's a struggle that I face every day. What do your spaces look like? And Lindsay, I apologize, I didn't get your picture in there. It was beautiful.
It was really pretty. I was really jealous of the table. It looked like a magazine. Mine doesn't look like Lindsay's. It's the spare bedroom. Normally I work downstairs at the big dining room table in one of the rooms down there. But my husband's also a middle school principal, similar cast to how you're probably running the show right now with 2 administrators in your house. So our Zoom meetings are like back to back at the same time, and he likes it a little quieter. So I got banished upstairs, so I have to shut the door when I'm on a call. But when I go into my room to work, I come in and I work, and then when I leave, I'm done. So that creates a nice separation. That's a great point you brought up.
That is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, this is my space and there's a yoga mat there, and I'm really intentionally putting it there so it doesn't collect dust, because one of the things I've learned is that this amount of sitting is really a struggle for me. And so even like 10 minutes of just stretching and some yoga in between meetings is really helpful. So I've tried to include in my space some self-care things. And then one other thing, I'd be curious if in the chat too, we're in Minnesota and the weather is finally getting nice. Like it hasn't snowed in about 3 days. And so I'm trying to think about maybe doing some of my meetings or learning outside to continue to support families and teachers. And like also, you don't have to be at a desk or at a table to continue to learn or do things. So I'm curious if anybody's done anything more outdoors too, just to kind of get a break from sitting at the same space all the time.
And Jess, you can't tell it because I have my fabulous friend's living room background here, but I am outside on my back porch right now.
Love
So
it.
I have been able to find a little bit of space out here during the evenings to work. So
That's awesome.
You know, I was in a Twitter chat last night and we had someone share out like, dude, you're not hooked to a landline. What are you doing when you have all these phone calls? Why are you sitting down for them? Get outside, walk, or do laps around your house or the workspace you have. And that was just mind blowing for me. I mean, I don't know why. It's real common sense, but great suggestion.
yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Katie, let's move on.
Real quick too, one thing, Cass, is I had to move my desk. I have my desk like in the basement facing the wall, but I had to move it the opposite way because I found that the wall and the computer, like I need sometimes to look like farther away, like the far away and then close away for your eye vision. Like it's something about that relaxes your eyes or something. Otherwise you look at that computer screen like too much. That's just a thought out there. You may have to like give some space behind your computer space.
I like that, Andy. Yeah, thank you. Okay, here we are to struggle number 2. So we were principal and parent. Oh, wait, or is it parent and principal? I think it's a mix of a little bit of both, right? It's gotta be. We've got to have, we're both roles. So when you look, I'm sorry, I loved the meme. I just died laughing before lockdown and after lockdown. I'm not gonna, you don't need to put in the chat if this is you, but I thought it was hilarious and so true. But if we look down this list of some things about our parenting side, all of these things are on our radar. I know they're on our radar every day. Supporting our children, not just in their academics, but man, they've been separated from their friends. They haven't been going to school. They miss their teacher. They're scared about the pandemic. They don't, depending upon their age, they don't understand really what's going on, some of them. So all of that is supporting our children. Stress. Oh, tell me you don't have stress. I have stress constantly every day. And some of it, I just have to, again, remind myself I'm doing the best I can and my best is good enough. But things start creeping in about, well, what if we don't get to go back to school in the fall? And what are we going to do to social distance at school? And I don't have classroom space for 30 bodies, So all of those things start creeping in. So that ties to my stress. And then, hello, I don't know if you know my family's hashtag, but we are the Nonstop Nelsons. And we have stopped. So that has created some stress because my husband's a superintendent at our district and we are used to going. We're used to going to all activities and our kids. So that's created some stress because we're at home and we're all in one roof all the time. Just talking with our children, talking with them about the pandemic or just talking with them about the fact that they miss their friends or, they'd like to go hang out and just all those hard things. Our family time, spending time together as a family and enjoying it, doing some fun activities. Self-care, that's an important one. Otherwise, you might look like the after lockdown puppy dog over there. Self-care, you got to take care of yourself and your mind and body. And then making time for our significant others. Sometimes, my husband and I, we're in the same business of school. So we don't shut it down. We don't have office hours because we might be sitting on the couch in the evening and some topic about school comes up. We have a hard time shutting it down. So talking about making time for our significant others that doesn't include school. Those are all on our radar every day. Let's look at those just a little bit. Yeah, this graphic was one I found, and I'm not going to read the whole graphic to you, but just taking a look at the purple dot that has the unicorn in it, you know, getting down and being playful and goofy, that does a lot to relieve stress for you and for your kiddo. And any situation, I found that just, hey, if we stop and we're goofy, even at school, I like to be goofy and silly and just, you know, keep it real playful. But I found that takes a lot of stress down pretty quickly. And then taking a step back, the little green circle right underneath that. It's okay to take a few minutes when you're feeling overwhelmed. And you know what? I've had to remind myself that more than one time, many, many times. In fact, today, my little guy, I don't want to do English language arts. I don't want to do it. Why do I have to do it? We're not in school. We've seriously had a little breakdown. So we just had to stop and take a step back and go do something fun for a little bit and come back to it. So I think those are two that are important. And I included the TikTok that we made together in this one because I thought, you know what, this was one of the first days that we were out of school. He had come to school with me because I don't have anything else to do with that kiddo. So he just gets to come with mom all the time. But the pandemic had hit, we had closed. He was sad that his friends weren't there at school. And it was really kind of like, he didn't understand, Mom, we're here, but where's everybody else? Why can't they come to school? And so we stopped and we just made a quick little TikTok and we smiled and laughed and we've replayed that and kind of laughed over it, you know, but it's just something that, Katie, if you want to hit play, it might make everyone smile today.
I think I actually need like a tutorial on how to do TikTok. That might be another upcoming like principling in place.
And I've seen a lot of families doing them. You know, they're just a fun little way for families to get together and create something. I don't know if you all have seen the Datasaur, but that's a great one. Where it turns into, every time his daughters say Datasaur, he just goes crazy. It's hilarious.
I've almost wondered if Andy would do that one. I felt like when I watched that, it's actually Andy doing it. So that might be a new upcoming.
I don't know. I haven't seen that. Like this whole TikTok thing, it's like, oh man, we didn't get into this. But what's the one where you have the three people that run into the front of the room and they're like doing some aerobic thing to music? It's like,
yes,
I don't know what that one is. So that one, I think we're working on next. My
gotcha.
6-year-old
Gotcha.
that one, so we may be pushing that one next.
So, and Cass knows this, but so I have a teenager who loves to be on his phone and does not always like to be with me. And so I've created my own hashtag called Stealthy. So every week I try to catch him on his phone and do a picture of the two of us together. And then I put it on Instagram and I wait for him to see it pop up in his feed. And then I give myself bonus points for every hour that he doesn't see it. So this is now my new thing. And so I've done multiple like stealthy. So, but I think it's important that you find something that's fun for you. Now my other son would be mortified if I ever took a picture of him without like written permission and probably a sample of blood. But the older one's fine with it. So I think, like you said, Cass, finding something that's fun for the two of you because you're making memories right now that are going to really be memorable as they become adults.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we're to our next poll. So use the chat box. What gets out of hand fastest at your house during this pandemic? And we're going to switch modes just a little bit. We've been talking about parenting. We've been talking about principling. But let's talk about the whole big idea that we are in this house. We are, I mean, am I right? We are here. We are eating 3 meals a day. We are not using that much laundry, right, Rachel?
Yeah.
But what gets out of hand? The laundry, the dirty dishes, disappearing food, or hungry kids? What do you think?
Man, the dishes, I think I'm doing a load a day, and it used to be like once a week. I don't know where they're all coming from. I'm sure it's not me.
It's the food at our house. I am like, I didn't realize I could spend that much money at the grocery store. Like, it's unreal. I'm like, how many do you eat a box of cereal in one sitting is what I really want to know, because that's what it feels like.
Oh, here's my favorite one. My favorite one is I've just cooked a meal, right? Like we've had chicken and green beans and baked potato and rolls, and like 5 minutes later, here comes a kid. I'm hungry.
Absolutely, Cass, absolutely. So the poll says that dirty dishes is the fastest that gets out of hand in the pandemic, followed by disappearing food, hungry kids, and laundry.
Aha. Yeah, the dishes. Like I said. And then the meme I put in there, I just thought was hilarious because it made me think of Kathy Jacobs. I don't know if anyone follows Kathy Jacobs, but she is a principal in Texas, and she posted a picture of, I don't know, maybe a block of Velveeta and Rotel or something like that. And she had said within the caption, I have had 11 Zoom meetings today. I am not cooking this crew dinner. We are having nachos. That's how we feel a lot of times though. And I do have to be real here with all these Zoom meetings. Yesterday I had 2 or 3 Zoom meetings just kind of spaced out. And while I was meeting, Kobe took our oldest 2 children and they built fence on our farm. And so when our oldest child, Kale, came home, I was really I felt exhausted from these Zoom meetings, right? And so I even said, I'm sorry, Kale, I'm just not thinking straight. I'm just exhausted. And he said, you looked at a computer screen all day. I built fence. Who should be exhausted? But it's true, right? Okay, Katie, let's go forward. Okay, so principal, parent, and full-time chef and housekeeper, pretty much, right? So this is the part of our show, no, I'm kidding, where you share your secrets for meal planning and for meals for 3 meals a day, grocery shopping or list making, and then housekeeping. And Kobe and I, my husband's name's Kobe, we died laughing at this meme because this has happened in our house. I have found a child with the nacho cheese Doritos, and I'm going, okay, I got to Zoom in 20 minutes. You're good. It is what it is. Let's move to the next slide though, and we'll talk about some of those, some tips and tricks. But I was just going to share one thing that I like to use. And Jessica, go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to go to Andy. Andy's got his hands raised down there.
Oh,
Andy, do you want to
okay.
go?
Yeah, no, Cass. So you asked for some special tips out there. So I don't know if anyone has any special tips that are helping. Right now is your time because Cass is going to give away an NAESP shirt, the exact shirt she's wearing. Not that exact shirt, but the same shirt, or maybe Cass's shirt. She's literally giving. Cass.
No. Keep going, Andy. Keep going.
Not right now.
No.
I'm just saying, Cass would give you the shirt.
She would.
That's where I was going. You guys are thinking, your middle school girls thinking different, It's no, but literally. So Dr. Franks hit us up. He said he's going to send out exact same shirt that Cass is wearing right now to somebody from this group tonight. So put out. So Cass, you got to look through the chat for a second. We'll help you out.
I like this is quick. People are putting stuff out.
What's a good tip?
What are you doing for meal planning? Ooh. So Cass, you start looking, Cass, and you can pick. Well, we will talk a little bit while you're doing this.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I know. Look at this.
I see a notes app. That's something my wife and I have tried to do. Like, how do you sync up in your family? Otherwise, you're writing like multiple lists, right? You're each writing a list, and then it's like, do you like share a list? Do you have an app for a list? Someone said notes app.
Well, and looks Ashley here talked about how they combat snacking in our household by using a basket and only putting a few snacks in. That's what I need to do instead of continuing to buy the big box of Pop-Tarts, is say you get a Pop-Tart box for the week. Let's Dave Ramsey the Pop-Tarts this week, boys and girls. I mean, I do like that idea. That's a good one.
Lindsay said Google Notes was one way for the shared notes for things.
That's got a middle schooler making meals. I might need her to come talk to mine. This is great.
Another idea is that who said this? Jennifer. about taking turns with your kids cooking and planning meals and having them more invested and involved. That's a good idea.
Yes,
Wow.
and there's one, and I can't see their name, but it looks like a Sarah maybe. It starts with an SAR.
Yep.
Cooking is now a science project, math problem, or reading text for my child. I try to link it to in whatever way I can and let my child cook. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. There's some good ideas in here. Alexa. Anybody use Alexa? I saw that. Who just said that? Joanne? She said she uses Alexa to make grocery lists. So you could just say,
Mm-hmm.
but
That's
is Alexa actually going off because we're saying Alexa? That's happened before.
All right, Cass, do you want to pick one winner?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Sarah, whoever that, I can't see their full name, but yeah.
Hey, that's okay, Sarah. If you can just go to all panelists in the chat and give us your name and address, Andy will make sure I'll get that and we'll get you that shirt. So thank you, NAESP, for like the free prize in the middle of the webinar tonight. This is kind of,
Thank you, Dr. Franks. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you, Dr. Franks. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
all right. Go keep going.
And then these are just some examples that I had. I use the shopping, I use the Google Keep app, and you can share that with other people who have Google. So Kobe and I share that. He doesn't like to necessarily use Keep. He uses his notes like Lindsay suggested. But you know, whatever works for you. And his list is not a shopping list, I should point out. It is a farm to-do list. So he is checking off a lot of things on his to-do list right now while we are kind of in lockdown. And then housework. Ugh, I hate housework. I just hate it. But I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old who, well, they get to help out sometimes. So that's part of their schedule. My daughter knows what time she needs to do the dishes, and she normally does that, which is a big help for me. So when you have kiddos that age and they can be helpful and responsible, then I think that just helps out to everybody. So those are some ideas that I had. Like I said, my older kids are my saving grace with housework. How are we doing on time, guys?
You have like another 10 minutes. We're good. You know, one thing, I have a very literal middle schooler. So dishes were like, well, I'm every other Tuesday with the moon and then maybe a Friday. And so we scrapped it now and we just go by the month. And so this month you are on dishes and then the other guy's on garbage and laundry. And it has been it saves on arguments. Although like tonight the dish guy is really excited to be turning the reins over come May 1st to the other guy. But I was like, I don't need to schedule. I just need to know this month you're on this and this month you're on that. And then just the expectation is at certain times of the day, the dishes are done. But that's been a saver. And then I don't know. So I was never into this online grocery shopping because for some reason I always felt like I needed to go pick my own bananas out. I don't know, or maybe my own can of Spam. But I'm really enjoying these opportunities to now buy groceries online or the drive up. I do think moving forward, I will do that because my husband and I can sit together at night and meal plan and at the same time get all our groceries in our cart. And then they'll either deliver them or we can go pick them up. And I thought, well, that's a time saver now. Because if you live in a smaller community, you know trying to get that gallon of milk is not going to happen because people are going to be stopping you at every step of the way anyway. So that online grocery shopping is something I'm going to continue, I think, after this too.
I'm the same as you, Jess. I hadn't online grocery shopped at all until the pandemic. And it's been really handy. I was the same way too. I felt like, I need to go in and do that. I don't know. I'm a doer. Okay, Katie, let's move on. Okay. So we've talked about a lot of struggles, and we do struggle every day, but I'm a person who also likes to see the positive side of things. And I know that throughout this struggle, throughout this pandemic, that there are some positive things that are happening within our families and within our homes. So I felt like we just couldn't end on struggles. We just needed to give some of those positives their due moment because if we're being really honest, it is a terrible thing. The pandemic, the sickness, the way that it's affected families, it is absolutely horrible. But you know what? In this time that we've had to step back and slow down and be at home with our families, I think it's gifted us with some time. I think it's gifted us with time with our children, time with our significant other. I know it's been tough, but what are some of the positive aspects that you found to this quarantine? I just listed a few there. There are way more than that, I know. But as I said, time with your children and family. You know, I read something the other day. It was really meant to be kind of funny. Like, this is our 2-minute moment where we can say we walked both ways uphill in the snow. You know, it was something to that effect. Well, this is our moment to come out on the other end with our children and say, we took advantage of this time. We made the very best of it that we could. We made memories with our kids that they're going to carry for their life, for their lifetime. They're going to look back on this pandemic and they're going to reflect on it, you know, and they're going to say, oh yeah, that's the time. Hopefully they're going to say, that's the time when we didn't get to go to school, and man, I did this and this with my mom or dad or family. So that's an important one. I don't know, has anybody done any home improvement? I talked about our fence building and the farm. Has anybody gotten any home improvement done? Or does anybody want to add in on things that they've experienced with their family, time with your family?
You know, one thing we do, the family dinner, like, and not only, you know, it's so hard to get a family dinner time in. My kids come to school with me, which means they stay late with me, which means by the time we get home, and then it's like, it's just so hard to get like a nice family dinner sit down thing. And especially when kids get older too, with sports and all that, I know that's hard. So we've been making the effort of doing that. But also, this sounds like such a weird thing, but not just scooping out all the stuff onto your plate on the counter, but like literally like bringing it family style onto the table. Because otherwise, I feel like the kids eat at different times that you eat. The kids will start eating, and then I'm standing up eating at the counter or something weird. So we literally put it all in these bowls. It's probably more dishes, so Rachel would drive Rachel crazy. But we put them all on the table, and then everyone eats at the same time. And I feel like it's so like maybe old school or something, but it's been really nice. I've really enjoyed that.
You know, and one thing too, Susan came a while back and said, you know, what about for single parent principals? And it's interesting because earlier today we had a conference call with some of us in it. And I think the first thing I would say, and if we have any single parent principals on that want to chime in, it would be really helpful, but give things up and don't take them back. So at this point, you know, lean into an assistant principal, lean into a leadership team, because your priority has to be as a parent. And if you're a single parent in this season, you've got to let some things go so you can take care of yourself and take care of your child full time. I think that's super, super important. I've noticed too, my husband is a utility worker, and for 2 weeks he did second shift and I did first shift. So, I mean, it's a struggle and it's stressful. And those weeks I had to let a lot more go because I just didn't have any more energy to do anything by the end of the day, plus stay awake for when he would get home and then get up the next day. So I think it's just really important for, people who might be, and even if your spouse isn't, you know, either as an essential employee and you're not seeing them as much, or you're separated from them at this time, you know, just really knowing it's so important to let go of some of the things, give them to somebody else so you can really focus on yourself and your family first.
That's right. That is so true. And looking at the rest of this list, and I'm just I got sidetracked on the chat just a little bit, but so many positive things in there. So many things. I saw walking the dogs and, you know, doing some home improvement and getting a chance to do yoga. I saw that one. Lots of different things. So I think it's just important to remember every day to remind ourselves of these positive things, because you can spend just about 30 seconds with a news station or TV, and you can get all the negativity that you need for a 24 to 48 hour period. So I think it's really important that we carry forward with positive aspects as well, and a positive mindset, that we're persevering through this, and we're so much healthier when we're doing it positively. So let's see. Do we have another slide? I think our next slide is our challenge.
Mm.
Okay, so the challenge this week is snap a picture of a way you are parenting. Oh my gosh, that can be so many different things. It might be for Andy, their family dinner.
Yeah, there you go.
Sat down at your family dinner and it's all, the table is set. That's a way you are parenting. It might be your schedule and your child's schedule right next to each other. Or it might be an activity that you are all doing as a family. Like I might need to go build fence with my children now so I can take a picture of all of us doing that together again. But there are so many things that, that's just a broad spectrum. Or you can share a parenting tip, something that you found that helps, something that you put in the chat maybe. Whatever it is, it's going to help someone, and that's the goal.
Well, and Dr. Franks will appreciate this, or taking a picture of your brand new puppy eating cards during Zoom meetings.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Cards, and then took out a nice little sweater I had on my desk too, just whoosh. So not perfect pandemic parenting, but memorable. Gonna save this card forever. Terminate my homework. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Hey, the one disclaimer that Will brought up in the chat box is make sure it's not one of those DHS reportable situations, which I don't think any of you would, but yeah, those are the parameters. Got to stay in that lane.
I think Will and Susan could reshare their picture of their 3 children or their children sitting at the table, and Will's the coach and she's the principal. Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. That's awesome.
That is fantastic. Well, Cass, thank you so very much. Wow. Yay. We're all clapping for Cass.
Good job, Cass.
Fantastic. And I think somebody said this on Twitter tonight too. This is like my favorite part of the week, just being able to connect, learn, laugh, and just feel rejuvenated as we move into the weekend with our families. So really want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and also want to lead in that next week, Todd Messaloni is going to be here. We're really excited to have him. If you haven't heard him before, you're going to be in for a great treat. He is a principal, former elementary principal out of Texas, but then now works for the Texas Association. He's written some incredible books, very dynamic, and we're excited to have him really talk about literacy in our virtual leading. And it's going to be really exciting and important as we're getting into May and continuing to sustain the stamina of this distance learning. So thank you all for being here. Cass, thank you again for just providing your insight and wisdom. Andy or Rachel, is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
We had a great time and we're looking forward to next week. And thank you, Cass, for doing a spectacular job. You did fantastic.
Oh, thank you all. You all are really the rock stars. Thank you all for putting this together for principals. It's a great resource. So thank you.
Just a ray of sunshine. Just a Cass ray of sunshine.
Oh,
Yeah, that is how it is.
I love it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
bye. Thank you.
Bye.